Hello.
Hello. Say hello, Sugar Bear. I don't know how long Sugar Bear is going to be with us. She might need to go upstairs. I'm hoping that she'll fall asleep, but she's not quite in the sleeping mood. She's in the very playful mood, which means that she'll sit upstairs in her kennel and cry, but
They won't be able to hear it, so it's fine.
we're working on it. We're working on the kennel training. She's doing pretty good. Isn't that right? For a little one. Happy Friday, guys. Last Friday things got a little crazy with the Friday bean, but Mr. Moore was able to fix it. If you joined us, I mean, we weren't really here. We had to pre-record our episode. But if you noticed that there was no sound, Mark did re-upload the episode and streamed it, so it is available.
It's YouTube's fault.
I appreciate your guys' patience. It's really hard when we have to pre-record things and then I'm not here. If you guys missed it or if you didn't see, I went and taught 5 different sessions over at my high school, the tech school where I started my journey in early childhood education. That was through a vocational school, and occasionally I go back and speak to the kids, but this time I was set to teach a class on career YouTubing. And then my old English teacher, I've stayed friends with her all these years, she asked me if I could do a keynote for the event and open the entire event. So I did that. And then I taught 3 different classes, one about life after high school, one on financial literacy, and one about like creating your own success path. And I had to, obviously, because there were multiple classes, I had to repeat some of those multiple times throughout the day. So man, I was so tired by the end of it, but it was so much fun. And it's something that I hope I can do every single year. So anyway, with all that aside, the episode is available, so you guys can go watch that. We went and we critiqued only Handmade Alpha Academy student shops, which isn't something that we do very often, because HAA students have the ability to email me if they need me to, look over their shops. But we don't really do the live streams with their shops very often. So definitely something to check out if you haven't had the chance to. But today, I wanted to kind of carry on the conversation that we started yesterday over on the eRank channel about niches, because it seems to be something that a lot of people get confused about, or they're confused about what a niche is compared to an industry. Because I cannot tell you how many times people will contact me and they'll say, my niche is mugs. No, it's not. Mugs aren't a niche.
Mugs are a household product you use to drink tea and coffee.
They are an industry. There she goes. She's out. Mugs are an industry, not a niche. A niche is something that you're really, really passionate about. It's something that fires you up and something that, you can get excited about. Nobody says, oh, I am excited about mugs. I love hot beverage drinking vessels. No, you might be excited about a specific type of mug. Maybe you like pottery mugs or stoneware mugs or mugs with, funny swear words on them. But you're probably not just super passionate about mugs on their own. Are you gonna?
Yeah, I'm gonna cradle her in here. Your loud talking upsets her.
I'm sorry. You go, CP. So today, I just kind of wanted to take an opportunity to talk about niches versus industries, deep dive into, some of the questions that you guys might have about niches versus industries, and also eliminate some common misconceptions. One of my favorite examples when we talk about like niching down and making sure that, everything within your shop aligns. There was a student in the Handmade Alpha Academy who created aprons and dog bandanas. And when she got to the section of Handmade Alpha Academy where we talk about things like niches, she was really concerned. She thought that she was going to need to split her shop up because aprons and dog bandanas, they seemed like such different products. but it's often not what the item is, but how you can make them work together. And usually if the items aren't too different, there is a glue within your brand, or a glue that you can add to your brand that will take two items that are seemingly different and make them fit together. So in her, example, is she getting sassy?
She's attacking me.
Okay, well, put her up in her kennel. She gets really, really sassy when she doesn't get what she wants, so she can take a little time out. Anyway, so I told this seller, okay, you've got the aprons and you've got the dog bandanas. Well, where is the dog when you're in the kitchen cooking? The dog is under your feet, right? Make the bandanas for the dogs match the aprons. And then you'll have a line of, matching sets for, mom and mommy's little helper. That is a niche all on its own. So here we had two products that were seemingly different, but there was an underlying glue that made those products fit. It's similar when, you walk into a Hot Topic and you see like there's tons of like, death metal t-shirts and, gothy clothing and merchandise for, whatever the dark movies are at the time. And I know I'm like an ex Hot Topic shopper and I'm doing like the worst job representing it, but you know what I mean? It's meant for an alternative audience. But then you also look along the back wall and you see pastel, cutesy, hearts and rainbow Care Bears. And, to the average person, they might say, oh, those don't match all of this gothic stuff. But when it comes to the target audience, if you know anything about goth kids love Care Bears and Squishmallows and Hello Kitty. So it's not so much that everything needs to be like black and dark and scary and match. It's that Hot Topic knows their ideal target customers. And they know that their ideal target customers, though they like to dress dark and scary, they also enjoy Care Bears and Hello Kitty and, Squishmallows and cute things as well. So before we get started, Mr. Moore, did we have any questions that we can get to right away? Sometimes the questions help to springboard. Also, is anybody like super mad that the puppy... Man, she like pulled so many strings out of my sweater.
Yeah, she was upset that I was making her sleep and she bit me and growled, so she had to go upstairs.
Yeah, she can stay up there. Woo! I did see one question from Destiny.
I went up to the top.
Oh, okay.
I have a question. I'm debating on two different aesthetics for my business, and they're very different. Is there any way I can have your educated opinion?
You'd have to give me more information, Destiny. Two different aesthetics. It depends on, it really depends on how different they are. I've even seen shops where, for example, there was this one seller, I can't remember if they were a student or not. And if you know who it is, or if it's you, feel free to let me know in the chat. But there was one seller who, she was an artist and she did like digital art with Procreate, and she made stickers and things, with these cute little characters that she drew, just cute little animals. And some of the animals were like really, really dark and spooky. And then some were super duper cute and pastel. And she felt like those needed to go in different shops because the target customers were very, very different. And I said, divide your shop in half. Make your banner like half and half. Do one half of like a little creature face, make like half of it like a cute little bunny face and make that half of the banner pink. And then the other half, make it a bat's head and make it like kind of spooky and creepy. And then when you photograph your products, do the spooky ones on like a purple background or a black background or, a darker color. And then all the cute ones use a light background, and do it almost like, spooky versus cute. And then brand your entire shop that way, because the overarching style of her art was the same. It was just the actual like color themes and, themes of the little animals that she was drawing were what was different. And putting those things together in like a dark versus light kind of way, she was able to create a brand around that. So context is everything, because sometimes products are way too different. If you're selling like, I don't know, adult body part jewelry and, baby pacifiers, those items don't go, there's no way to make those items go together. You can't do it. I mean, you could, but the target audience for either of those products is going to look at the other item and say, that doesn't belong in this shop.
Right.
So there are very few occasions where items are absolutely so different that they can't fit, but really it comes down to who the target customer is and the overall style and how you're able to create that glue that, you know, fits things together.
We got a buttload of questions in. If you're gonna,
you know what? Let's go ahead, and I think that questions should fuel this discussion because I think that they are going to help springboard more ideas. I wanted a more organic conversation today. I think that that's the best way to approach it because I don't know what you guys need to know.
Can my art style just be a niche?
It depends. Is it a cohesive art style? Oh, yes. I know your art style. Absolutely, because your art style, it's everything fits together. And there are multiple ways to brand yourself as an artist. I think that there are artists that like to represent themselves as themselves, where, you know, they have named their brand after themselves. They're fine with showing their face off and basically, you know, representing themselves within their brand. Think about famous artists where you know their name and then you can immediately think of what their art looks like. Thomas Kinkade is one of my favorites. He's the one that I reference the most because I love his use of light. But if you hear the name Thomas Kinkade, you can immediately picture his little cottages in the woods with like the lights coming through the windows and the pretty trees and little cobblestones. It's a very vivid image that comes to mind. And I think that artists have this unique opportunity to brand themselves as such. Or if you have a very specific style where all of those, you know, little characters or whatever it is, you know, that you draw as an artist, where it all kind of fits together, especially if it's something that you feel could appeal to that young TikTok audience. I'm talking about those of you who do like super cute little cartoon artwork. I think that in those cases, you can almost allow those little characters to serve as your brand. A couple of examples that I really love are Squishables. The stuffed animals. I think that Squishables does a fantastic job of marketing their brand by letting their little characters almost be their brand ambassadors. If you go to their social media, you'll see them, you know, coming up with new designs and things, but they have, even though they sell stuffed animals, they have little cartoon characters of some of their most popular stuffed animals who, you know, if they do like a Merry Christmas post, it'll be like all these little cartoon characters of their most popular plushies all celebrating Christmas together. Tasty Peach Studio is a smaller business that does something similar. That's one of my favorite brands where they let their little characters stand on their own. Even Squishmallow will do, you know, with some of their more popular characters, like their Calico Cat, for example. It's not just that they sell the stuffed animal. They also have that little character that almost stands as its own representative, and they use that character throughout things like their social media to speak on behalf of the brand. So you can always incorporate in either yourself as the artist speaking on behalf of your brand or those little characters, because what is going to really stand out to, you know, your target audiences and those who come across you hopefully on social media where you're marketing is that recognizable element that they can latch onto. Make sure she's got a Chewy in her kennel. But, you know, something that they can kind of cling on to. That way, when they see those posts, there's an element that they can recognize that becomes, you know, part of your brand identity rather than just like posting art. That's great. But add that little element, whether it be a human element, being yourself, or, you know, life of your characters. If you are creating artwork where you're, you know, developing little cute characters. Obviously, if you're like a landscape painter or, you know, a realism painter, you can't really incorporate cute little characters into your branding. It's just not congruent. But that's where it would be more appropriate for you to represent your brand as the artist. Let's see. So as long as it's laser engraved acrylics and wood work together. So once again, you're going into industries. This is an example of industries. These are not examples of niches. If it is a product, a type of product, and it's not descript, it is an industry. A mug is an industry. A shirt is an industry. Laser engraved is an industry. Woodwork is an industry. Woodwork for who? Laser engraved for who. Who is the target customer? That is the guiding force that is going to help you to find your niche. So for example, I always love to use Amber Marie. She is our very first Handmade Alpha Academy student, and she's a close friend of mine. But Amber, she started out just doing, Amber Marie Biro portraits, where she would draw all different animals and, she would do pet portraits. She would do, all different things where she would, draw these different portraits. And then she noticed over time, she realized, okay, the thing that's selling the most are my pet portraits. So she decided to just focus on pets, cats, dogs. She had some horses. She primarily focused on pets. And then she realized, okay, of all the pets, the thing that's standing out the most and the thing that people are buying are dogs. So she refined her niche even more and focused on dogs. And then she realized that there were a lot of dog breeds that when it comes to like shopping around on Etsy, you look for a rare dog breed. If you're looking for a t-shirt with a corgi, that's easy to find. Or if you're looking for a greeting card with a corgi, that's easy to find. But if you want a greeting card with a Rhodesian Ridgeback, that's not going to be easy to find. And she realized that there is demand for these underrepresented breeds. So she refined her brand even more. And now her slogan, it went from Biro Portraits to Amber Marie Studio. Her slogan is No Breed Left Behind, where she laser focused on not just pets, not just dogs, but she wants to focus specifically on rare dog breeds. And her whole goal is to have a product for every single dog breed. And yeah, she's got the corgis and she's got the chihuahuas and she has the common breeds, but she knows that money really, really exists in those breeds where people go looking for a piece of merchandise with their dog breed on it, and they can't find it because their dog breed isn't one that most people think of when they're coming up with products related to dogs. So she has laser focused, and it doesn't matter if she prints, her artwork on shirts or, prints for the wall, or if they're digital, or if they're physical, or if they're on mugs or blankets or whatever. What she's selling and what her niche is these very specific dog breeds. And when you laser focus on a niche and a target customer, the rest of what you're actually, making matters a lot less than how you actually execute those products and, how you're designing those products. So laser engraved for who? If you're laser engraving everything, then you probably don't have a niche. Woodwork for who? Are you doing woodwork for, a specific aesthetic, for minimalist homes, for homes that are actually decorated with a wood feel? Like maybe it's somebody who actually specifically looks for wood grain accents for their home. Is it for a farmhouse style home? Are you making products for small apartments? So, you're creating really functional but aesthetically pleasing pieces. Those are niches. And the closer that you can get your brand to a very specific niche, the more laser focused that brand becomes. And not only that, but Etsy's algorithm is more likely to recommend you in search, because Etsy's algorithm will be able to identify what it is that you want to be known for. So for example, if somebody sells a bunch of t-shirts and they happen to have a handbag, maybe they sell like POD shirts and they have a POD handbag in their shop, it doesn't matter how well they've optimized that listing and how great their keywords are. If Betty is shopping for a handbag and she types handbag into the Etsy search bar, and you happen to have one handbag, but this other seller here specializes in handbags and all they sell is handbags, Etsy likely knows that shop has a lot of good reviews for handbags. All they sell is handbags. All of their listings have the words handbags in their tags and titles. The customers who come to their shop buy handbags, leave good reviews for handbags. That is all data that Etsy is collecting about this shop. And Etsy knows that customers are very satisfied when they buy a handbag from this shop. So out of these two shops, the one that just happens to have a handbag versus the shop that is laser focused on handbags, which one is Etsy more likely to recommend in search for Betty who's searching for a handbag? They're more likely to recommend the shop that's known for handbags. And again, handbag is an industry, not a niche. But the same could go for, for a niche like rare dog breeds. If somebody is looking for a Chihuahua, a long-coated Chihuahua greeting card, for example, and somebody has a shop where they sell birthday cards and dinosaur cards and random all the things, all the crazy cards, and they just happen to have one with a Chihuahua. But then Amber Marie is known for selling dog breeds, and she has a line of long-haired Chihuahua cards. And Etsy's identified that Amber Marie's shop specializes in cards like these. Amber Marie is more likely to get recommended in search, which is why Amber Marie has I think 40,000 sales on Etsy, or a lot, something ridiculous like that, along with her website where she makes most of her sales. So it's about laser focusing on the overarching theme. What all we got?
Oh, I was looking, somebody said something, I was looking it up.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Ours is whimsical products for home and person. This sounds like a niche, right?
Sure. If your products, fall into that whimsical theme, just like cottage core could be a niche. If you create products, themed around, for example, mushrooms and little frogs and fairies and little woodland creatures and, the changing seasons and all these cute little things, that could totally all fit under the umbrella of a cottage core niche, for example. What's the problem?
Well, Chris had said that the email from you says it's another 2 hours before it begins. Are we sitting here at the wrong time? No, it says 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, unless the timer is being set for their local times.
They're not.
It shouldn't be.
No. Shouldn't. Yeah. It should be working just fine. I don't know. Feel free to take a screenshot and email me at starlighthandmadealphaacademy.com and show me what you're seeing. Okay.
For reference, I paint watercolor birds and landscapes, mostly birds, though I sell prints, mugs, bags, shirt, everything.
Yeah.
Birds is a narrow niche, though.
Yeah. Different birds, especially if you were to focus on I wouldn't just think like birds. Like birds is a niche. But
watchers.
Bird watchers, exactly. Mark's grandma, she is one of those crazy people who has she keeps the binoculars right by her window.
I bought them for her.
Yeah, she makes sure to buy all these crazy different bird seeds so that she attracts specific birds so that she can get in her little book and go through and find the specific bird. And then she's, looking through her binoculars, watching all the birds at her bird feeder. And she would absolutely, I could see her having a big painting of beautiful birds on her wall. That sounds like something that she would have.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't just focus on birds. I would focus on, bird paintings for who? These could be good keywords that you could incorporate into your listings and into your tags.
Just so I understand niches, I have a soap and bath shop, and all of my products are made with tallow for those who like tallow in their bath products. Is that a niche?
Sure. As long as you are being loud and proud about it. If it's something that you only have listed in your materials section, then that's not enough to really tell me.
Right.
But if I'm somebody that for some reason is specifically looking for products, made out of a material, I would want to know that immediately when I arrive in your shop. For example, I'm a beeswax person. I'll frequently look for products with beeswax. And if I don't see it right away, and that seller hasn't listed it somewhere where I know immediately, okay, beeswax, cool. Then then how do I know? So just make sure that if it's something that that customers really, really want, and it's something that they're specifically looking for, that you are putting that everywhere. And if there's a benefit to it, I'm not really familiar with, how tallow is used in bath and body products, but if there's some way that you can educate people and let them know the benefits of utilizing these products, that's something you could incorporate into your listing photos. That's a way, I'm assuming that it probably is a more eco-friendly, non-chemically solution. That's something that you could talk about.
It's also a low waste product because if you're someone who obviously eats meat, you can render your own tallow and use that. I don't know if you're just buying tallow third party. I would assume you are. Making tallow takes forever, but
yeah, I'm sure that there are probably a lot. And I mean, and if you're unsure, Google all the benefits and make sure that those are things that you're expressing to your customers. It's not a benefit if the customers don't know. It's not a niche if it's something that you're not expressing. You know what I mean?
Could even just be the vintage-ish style of making it. That's how people made soap for a really long time, and people trying to move away from synthetics and waxes and whatever else. I don't know what soap's made with nowadays, but
We've got this local brewery, and
Yeah.
they make everything. Like, they start the fire every morning, and they all dress in clothing of the time period, and they have like, they're making it right there in front of
yeah,
you.
it's all very low alcohol because it's barreled like by the day.
Yeah, you're like watching them actually make it, and it's an immersive experience. And we went in there, and Mark was so excited to try it, and he got a beer, and it was disgusting.
It wasn't the beer that was the problem. I got a shandy.
Okay.
And it was a not very good lemonade mixed with their worst beer. But anyway,
Most people who go there say it's not what you're
it's
expecting.
not.
And most people who I've talked to have tried it, didn't like it, but they still go. And they go because they go for the brand, the experience of trying something that is made in this very, very like primitive style that there's no other way that they can experience it. They go for the ambience and just to say like, I got to do it. And they don't even like the product. It's kind of interesting. What's really funny is that was Red Bull's whole thing, was they knew that they had a disgusting product that nobody liked the taste of. Same with 5 Hour Energy. They knew that they had a disgusting product that nobody liked the taste of, but they were able to market around that because of, the benefit of the product. So, there's interesting ways to market things.
Look up the history of Red Bull, by the way. It's actually pretty interesting.
Red Bull or 5 Hour Energy?
Red Bull.
Oh, coming from Europe?
Yeah, it was Australia, wasn't it? I thought it was Australia.
No, I thought it was...
It was like an Australian billionaire that created a product, and it used to be way better, and then they took everything but the caffeine and guarana and taurine out of it.
I thought it was Europe. Yeah, we just watched a video on...
But could be wrong. Anyway, I'm really confused on how to brand myself correctly.
Okay.
I market as myself. My brand is me. I don't have a persona. The only idea for how to niche as an artist is, hey, it's cute.
Focus on the, hey, it's cute. Plenty of brands do that. Here's the thing. It's hard to take a stranger who doesn't know you and convince them to be passionate about you. You know what I mean? It takes time to make someone passionate about you. If you are watching me for the very first time, I'm sure that there's at least a couple of you who stumbled across this live stream out of nowhere, and, you're watching me talk for the first time. You're not passionate about me. You're not here for me. You're not here to support me. You don't know me, right? You just stumbled across me. Hey, this person's live right now. I sell on Etsy. I might want to learn something. You're not passionate about me. But then there's some people here who have been watching me for probably 7 years now, who show up every single week, and we formed a relationship, and you guys know me so well, you know all my animals' names, right? We've built this relationship over time. And it takes time to build these relationships with people. And when you're selling, when you're in a product-based business, yes, I do absolutely think that incorporating yourself into your brand is very important because it helps to build trust. It helps to build relatability. But at the same time, there's not a lot to grasp onto. So absolutely represent yourself in your business. Try to throw in elements that are relatable, especially if you're, creating cute characters and things like that. I'm familiar with your art style. So I dare say that you could even be, marketing into that like mental health niche, like, cute little animals, things like that. That all kind of fits into both the mental health, neurodivergent niche. If you identify with either of those categories yourself, then, you could also express those things in your posts, have times where you get vulnerable. There are a lot of fun ways to incorporate your own personality and relatable elements into the things that you post, especially on social, so that people can get to know you a little bit better. When it comes to Etsy specifically, since you don't really have as much opportunity to form those connections, it's, you're mostly relying on that organic traffic that's just stumbling across you, similar to those of you who have just found me out of the blue streaming on YouTube, and you've stumbled across here and clicked on the video because it was live. There's less opportunity to build those really, really strong connections. But thankfully, you've got great products. You've got a good style. Your products are cute. I think that there's a lot more cohesion than what you're giving yourself credit for. I really think that the standout feature, especially for brands like yours, are those social external traffic drivers like TikTok, doing things like Procreate speed runs. You could screen record yourself and, do like a speed run, or even, creating a piece of art and then just going in and subtracting layers, subtract all your layers, and then one at a time go in and add the layers back in so that someone can see all the individual layers being added. That's a kind of cheater way to do a speed run without actually recording yourself doing the full piece of art, especially if you're somebody who like draws for a little while and then you get up and, you do something else and then you come back to it. But that can allow you to have some content that's pleasing to watch. But then as you are developing your brand on social, on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, you also have the ability to sprinkle in a little bit of your own personal touch, your own personal story. I'm actually really enjoying the girl who I'm getting my dog training information from. I started watching her content, and it's really fascinating the way that she balances her content. So her name is Taylor Cezanne. Can you type it in? Taylor CEZANNE. Okay, go ahead and, of course, it auto-corrected it.
How do you make it not autocorrect crap on computer?
I
very clearly was typing what I wanted.
I really like her content style. She's mostly popular on TikTok. If you've got TikTok, check her out. What I love about her content style is she is known for dog training. You go to her TikTok and you learn about her dog training, but she also incorporates in elements from her personal life and vulnerable moments and, her mental health journey and things like that. And she sells products. She sells, what she makes her money on is dog training guides. She sells dog training guides. And this is a digital product. This is a product that someone could sell on Etsy if they wanted to. She sells on her website, but you could sell, PDF dog training guides on Etsy if you wanted to. And it's really ingenious the way that she teaches on her TikTok. She shares herself as a human, her own vulnerabilities on her TikTok. She forms a connection with those people who are watching her, and she very effectively sells a product, which are her dog training guides, and she makes a lot of money doing it. And I just think that one of the things that I love about her is just how fascinating her actual content style is. So I highly recommend checking her out. I know that it's kind of weird because it's a dog trainer, but if you actually break it down as a business and the way that she's been able to balance the business side with being vulnerable and expressing a little bit of herself and going between professional dog trainer to, hey, I'm on a mental health journey. Like, I'm not always kind to myself. It helped me to form a connection with her to the point where I watch literally all of her TikToks now. I watch all of her videos, and I don't even get on TikTok. I'm not a TikTok person, but I go there and specifically search her by name just so I can catch up with her content. So just something interesting.
My niche is unicorns. Can I sell towards kids and adults in the same shop? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unicorns for all. Unicorns is the niche.
Not to mention, who has credit cards, kids or adults? Adults have credit cards.
Yeah.
You're not selling to kids. You're selling to adults who are buying for their kids. It is always an adult who has the credit card. It is always an adult who is making the decision to buy. So, that's just something to kind of keep in mind when it comes to how you position your brand. I have a lot of people who ask that, like, I'm selling to kids. No, you're not. Nobody sells to kids. I mean, I'm sure that there probably are some, the cereal commercials and, the toy commercials that are loud and in your face and colors, lights, yelling, beeping noises, that obviously they're selling to kids, so that their kids will nag their parents to get the toys. But on Etsy and hopefully through, social media, assuming that you're marketing, you are primarily selling to adults for their kids. So always keep that top of mind. But unicorns on its own, that is absolutely a niche, especially if you make sure that, everything that you do, is based in that kind of like magical, fun aesthetic. And you could even make that a part of your brand, like unicorns for, adults and kids. Like that could be an entire, part of your brand, a way that you could message or market yourself.
I have a really odd item that's my biggest seller. My photos are always an issue. I'd love some advice. I'm selling homecoming mum charms. Totally a Texas item, but hard to figure out photos.
Uh, um, uh, Unfortunately, Misty, there's not really any way. I would have to. It's another one of those cases of I would have to see it.
We kind of have to be there.
Yeah. This sounds like a good one to post in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community and show like where you're having issues. Because I feel like the feedback needs to be based on like, I mean, who knows? Your photos might be just fine how they are. Feel free to post in the Facebook community though, because that might be, the best way for people to give some feedback.
I'm a photographer and I'm not sure what's best to list canvas prints on the same listing as metal prints or prints on photo paper. Should I stick to only one? Thanks for your show.
I mean, that's kind of a personal choice. If you feel like you're going to have a lot of brand confusion there, I think that because it's the same photo and they're just picking what it would be printed on, that might be a case of, it would be best to keep them all condensed in one listing. That way your overall shop doesn't look overly cluttered with the exact same images. Now, if you were selling, for example, a combination of, prints, but then you were also selling like pillows with the photography and blankets with the photography, that's where I would recommend separating out those listings. But if it's all ultimately like the same thing, the same image, you're just picking if you want it on a canvas or if you want it on like a metal print, I feel like those could go within, the same listing so that person is basically, it's almost like you're picking like the finish that you want. Like, okay, I know that I want this piece and I know the size that I want it. How do I want it printed? That's kind of more of a layer within a single transaction. You know what I mean? Where, it's like if you're going blender shopping or, you're going to buy a stand mixer. I know I want a stand mixer and I know I want a KitchenAid stand mixer. Your last decision is what color do you want, right? What color is going to match my kitchen? That's the last decision that you make. So in your case, I know I want a piece of art and I know that this is, the photography that I want. I know I want this photo. Now I just need to decide what I want it printed on. If they've got to go into your shop and look through a bunch of listings to figure out, oh, what's this one? What's this one? What's this one? That might cause more friction within, the process of making a final decision. But again, if they were, if you were selling it on a pillow and a blanket, those are completely different products that are going to be placed in different areas of the home and used in different ways. Those, in my opinion, could be separated out. I don't know where Mark went. Oh no, and now I don't know what I'm doing. Oh no. He left and now I can't find where we were. Okay, there we go. Let's see. I make generic knits, crochet, and jewelry before niching to book-themed accessories. Does it hurt to keep the generic accessories until they sell? Should I try to sell the generic themes elsewhere? How many of them are in your shop? I guess would be my question. And how distracting do you feel like it is? If it's just a couple things, I guess it's not a big deal. You might be able to move those products faster though. If you're just trying to get rid of them, maybe consider putting them on sale. I've gone through this in the past with my first shop. I tried a bunch of things when it came to my first jewelry business. And I ultimately found it was easier just to take those things out of my Etsy shop and sell them on Facebook just to get rid of them quicker and, be able to sell them off. So it really just depends. I wouldn't continue making, especially if you're like excited about this new direction for your brand and, you're making a permanent pivot. Obviously don't continue creating these items, but if you're just trying to get rid of them and trying to recoup, the money that you spent producing them, sure, you could totally take them and sell them somewhere else if you just want to get your shop cleaned up. It's probably not going to hurt you to have them in your shop. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong. You just might be able to move them a little bit faster if you steeply discount them, or if you move them off platform somewhere like Facebook Marketplace might even be, realistic and have somebody, local in your area who might want those items. You could even say, hey, I'm refining my business and I'm moving, like I'm trying to get rid of excess products. And I'm selling these at a steeply discounted cost, to anybody locally who wants to buy them. Let's see. Let's see, theming your niche for a holiday, Christmas, Mother's Day, 4th of July, Valentine's Day. Good idea year round, just focusing on your niche better. Focusing on your niche. I would not, I mean, there are brands that do okay for holidays, but Lorenzo, your guys' whole brand, like that you've developed, has been the sci-fi theme. So that would be your niche. I wouldn't try to, fit square blocks into round holes just for, the sake of staying on like seasonal trends. You could always incorporate in a couple seasonal products and make them fit your niche. I mean, who's to say that you couldn't make space themed Christmas jewelry, or find a way to create, maybe some nerdy pink kind of sci-fi Mother's Day themed, jewelry, or some patriotic themed sci-fi jewelry. I think that there are ways that you could incorporate it in if you decided to. But a niche, I feel like the niche that you've selected, the sci-fi theme, is probably going to be easier to compete in, first and foremost, because it's a lot more refined already. It's already a much smaller and direct laser focused niche as opposed to seasonal products. And it's going to be easier for you to stay on track if you stick to that, idea that you have already built your brand around. That doesn't mean that you can't incorporate in some seasonal products, but I wouldn't reframe your entire brand around those seasonal products. Now, there are exceptions to that. For example, there are shops that make wreaths. You guys have to cater to holidays. Like, seasonal wreaths are the thing. There are some people out there, myself included, who decorate for every holiday. Everybody in the neighborhood laughs at me because I start with Halloween. I put Halloween up in September, and then right after Halloween, Thanksgiving immediately goes up. And then after Thanksgiving, Christmas immediately goes up. And then when Christmas is over, I leave the red lights in my windows from Christmas, and I put up big heart lights in the window as well. So now, Valentine's is up. And then right when Valentine's comes down, I put up my green lights, and it's all going to be St. Patrick's Day, and I have big clovers for the window. Right after St. Patrick's Day goes down, Easter immediately goes up. And after Easter, it's spring, baby, and I put my patriotic stuff up, and that stays up until I put up the Halloween again. So there are people out there who they want a wreath, for example, for every single holiday. They want something for every holiday, even the little holidays. So that absolutely can be a profitable niche. But it really depends on the product. And if you have to expect, when you are going seasonal, specifically, if your whole niche is catering to holidays, also keep in mind that you're likely going to make more sales if you're selling wreaths. You're probably going to make more Christmas wreath sales than you are Mother's Day wreath sales, because, yes, we do shop for Mother's Day, but how many people realistically hang up a Mother's Day wreath on their door as opposed to a Christmas wreath? Probably more people that are going to put up a Christmas wreath as opposed to a Mother's Day wreath. You know what I mean? So that one is going to take a little bit more planning and anticipating what time of year people are more likely to actually decorate. So you'll have to do a lot more financial planning. You know what I mean? When catering an entire brand seasonally. Especially if you're selling like bigger products like wreaths. Greeting cards is a little bit easier because with greeting cards, you've got the holidays, but then you also have birthdays. Birthdays are happening every single day. Taylor's birthday, our daughter, her birthday's tomorrow. So there's birthdays at all times. Weddings, for example, that's another one. Weddings are happening all the time. There's always weddings taking place. I just did the Geek Authority, so.
Okay. Sorry, I had an emergency.
That's okay.
And then as soon as I went to walk downstairs, the UPS guy dropped off a huge package, so. I have a store that primarily focuses on a crochet niche. I have designs with terms and a mix of seasonal apparel like V-Day, teachers, niche. It's a 70-30 split. Is it too mixed for buyers?
Crochet isn't a niche. Crochet is an industry. Crochet what? You've got crochet, seasonal apparel, and teachers. These are all completely different items. What is the glue that holds it all together? What is the theme? Is it all very colorful? And are you expressing that in your branding elements so that when somebody visits your shop, they immediately know, though the items be different, the cohesive theme is colorful? Is it all very cutesy and fun? Is it all themed in cute little animals? Are you crocheting cute little animals and all the, all the seasonal clothing has cute little animals? Again, these are industries. What is the niche? What is the target? And if you don't have one, then that's probably a good sign that you don't have a niche. You just have a bunch of industries. So I would really try to buckle down on the who and the what specifically, not the item, but what the item is themed in, or if there is some cohesive glue that makes it all fit together.
My shop name has the word candle in it, but we're looking at expanding into offering other products within our niche. Would you suggest changing our shop name?
What are the types of products? Bath and Body Works sells candles, and candles are neither bath nor body. So, they sell products that don't fall into their brand name. Are the products that you're planning, and I'm familiar with your brand, obviously, are the products that you're planning to sell also, could they fit in with that good smelling ambience aesthetic that, your brand already has? Are they products that create a mood and a tone and, a relaxing atmosphere? If so, I think that, it would all fit together quite nicely. And, your brand is already very cohesive. So I'm actually curious what you're planning to expand out into, but I have a feeling, because you're already very business minded, that whatever you're developing probably isn't going to conflict with those candles too much. If anything, maybe they're products that will fit the mood and tone that your customers are trying to really create with their candles. For me, when I think about, cozying up with a candle, like I'm reading a book, which obviously, you incorporate the bookish elements into your shop as well. I'm cuddling under a blanket. I'm in warm jammies. I'm wearing slippers. Maybe I've got, some nice music playing, and I've got a candle lit. These are all things that I consider like a cozy atmosphere for sitting and reading a book, and it all fits together. Now, obviously, if you're selling something, really, really strange, like you're selling candles, if you're throwing wreaths in your shop, that's a little strange. So again, it really just depends on the product, but I don't think that you need to change your entire brand name if what you're ultimately selling is your atmosphere.
A couple people talking about the mid-roll ads being annoying. Fun fact, a couple of Twitch streamers, real big Twitch streamers, did some experiments on viewership between ads that roll at the beginning of a video or in the end of a video versus mid-roll ads that play randomly through. And engagement, or not engagement, but the amount of people that actually stick around to watch a video after their in-roll ads was like 75% lower than when mid-roll ads go in. So while it's annoying that occasionally you get some mid-roll ads, which by the way, you can alleviate with YouTube Premium, it's significantly worse for the creator to have ads in the beginning of a video because the drop-off rate is like 5 times what it is without it.
Also, keep in mind that, imagine every single Friday for 7 years, you've got to get yourself gussied up to sit on camera, even if you're sick, even if you don't feel good, we were here right after the dog died, after my grandma died, 7 years.
I've been here with COVID twice.
Yeah, so have I. Like, we're here, every single Friday. We have been for 7 years. And if we can't be here, we pre-record an episode to make sure that you guys can watch it. And, we get a couple pennies when those ads play. That's YouTube. YouTube is paying us. So rather than thinking, wow, this is really annoying, just use it as an opportunity to take a drink and, remember that, hey, Starla and Mark got a couple pennies that help them to run the channel because, believe it or not, we put a lot of money into this channel. You don't even want to know how much our camera costs. Like every time we make money from YouTube, we try to invest it back in the channel.
Yeah.
Right. That's why
a lot of times in stuff that you don't see.
Right. That's why, we upgraded to the cool backdrop, and we've got the cool lights, and we've got a good camera
and computers and microphones and recording peripherals and software and plugins. And anyway, 7 years. It's been a really long time.
Every Friday.
But just remember, if we don't push ads at all, YouTube won't put this in front of people, and eventually we'll have to quit doing our job. So mid-roll ads are the most beneficial thing to us. Also, if you get YouTube Premium, you get YouTube Music for free. And YouTube Music has one of the lowest compression rates of all. Sounds better than Spotify could ever sound. And they're politically neutral. So take that how you will. You get YouTube Premium and YouTube Music for free. You can get rid of your Pandora or Spotify and just get YouTube Premium. And you'll get both ad-free YouTube, tons of free movies, and YouTube Music. Pro tip.
And we still, even though you guys don't get ads with YouTube Premium, we still get revenue when you watch our videos. Yes. So just something to consider. I can't watch YouTube without YouTube Premium. It's not very expensive now, is it? Right? How much is it? $12?
Yeah, it's like $12 or something, but you get everything that it includes, including, I know a lot of you like to watch old movies. Most old movies are on YouTube Movies for free.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's pretty cool. There's
Somebody
a couple.
said most live videos do not have ads. Ads are based on your watch input, not on someone's specific content. If I choose to not put ads, if I choose to not monetize a video, it'll usually still have ads. They're just not ads I get paid for, or she gets paid for. So if you're not seeing ads, then you have an ad blocker, or you watch enough YouTube that I don't think it's necessary to stick mid-roll ads. But that's not what this video is about. So we're going to go ahead and continue to move on.
It's one of those, like, if you don't like the ads, I'm sorry. If you respect us as creators and you respect the fact that we spend an hour and a half here every Friday, like, at least, like, let us at least have our pennies. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's like, that's all we ask.
And the whole mid-roll ads better as a creator, that's a thing that not really anybody's talked about recently, until a couple of Twitch creators experimented by switching ads and moving them around different places. And ads smack dab in the middle somewhere are significantly better for creators. And somebody had asked, do you get a cut for premium users? We actually get a larger cut for premium users than we get for, and I mean, it's still literally pennies, less than a penny per person, but it's still something. Anyway.
It does add up. It does
add up. With multiple drawing styles that aren't related, how might you go about marrying the ideas? For example, Gothic toil drawings, cutesy pastel things. I draw like 5 completely separate people.
Again, this might be one that I would need to see. I did give that example at the beginning of the seller whose shop was divided between, like, they literally cut their banner straight down the middle and did like the cute, you know, pastel, like, little bunny, and then the other half, it's like half of a bunny face, and then the other half was like a bat face. It almost reminds me, which someone will know, which Atreyu album had the lamb, the half and half. Which Atreyu album am I thinking? Anyway, that's what it reminded me of. And then when they actually had the listing photos down below, they used different color backgrounds to represent, like, the creepy product versus the cutesy ones, but it still looked cohesive. The way that they took their photos was all the same. The only thing that changed was the background color that they used for the creepy items versus the cute items. And obviously, you know, the art style. But if the actual art style, you know, because she was still drawing cute little animals, some were just creepy and some were, you know, pastel. If the actual art style is so drastically different, like if you've got like bloody, gory, hyper realistic, you know, werewolves and skulls and things, and, you know, very tattooy style, and then you have adorable, like, cute pastel bunnies, those might be so drastically different that those might warrant their own lanes, you know what I mean? Because that one might be a harder sell to have them all together. Again, sometimes seeing things helps me a little bit more, so feel free to post in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. I'm sure that there are plenty of other alphas as well there are so many people in the community who are good at this, who are able to, like, look at things and, you know, find the glue. That's what I call it, the glue, the thing that helps to marry two seemingly different ideas and helps fit them together. I know it takes a really, like, abstract thinking style to be able to do that. And there aren't very many people who are good at it. If you don't feel like you're one of those people, please know that that's why marketing agencies make a butt ton of money. Like, that's their whole job is, you know, they have services, you know, for millions of dollars where they help brands do just that. So if you're not one of those people who can marry those ideas, it's not a common skill. But there are people within our community who have that skill. who could all totally go apply at these crazy marketing agencies if they wanted to, but instead they volunteer their time in the alpha community. So feel free. The link's down below for anybody who's not a member, or you can just go to Facebook, search Handmade Alpha Facebook community. Make sure you join the one that has mine and Mark's faces on it, not the one that says Student Campus. That one's just for HAA students.
You reviewed my shop last Friday, MB
Awesome.
Craftworks. I had the craft or the horse items and the maps and other wood items. Is there another way I can sell the random things I make in one shop?
I think that your glue would be a little bit easier to nail down if you got rid of being a horse themed shop out of your branding. What you have is horses and maps, and
Yeah, which together, fine. Texas home style decor. I mean, those things fit together.
maybe
Southern
like
home style decor.
so maybe I'm thinking more of like US. I'm trying to think because you've got all the maps. Horses and maps. Horses and maps. Horses and
They have
maps.
other wood stuff too. It wasn't just horses and maps.
It was a lot of horses and maps.
It wasn't horses and maps.
Man, I feel like there is some glue there, and
Country home. That's
I think
every Airbnb we've ever stayed in south of Kentucky.
Yeah, I think that you could probably, I mean, it is kind of complicated if you have maps for like big cities. That might be a little weird, but I think that if you were to align your photography style with almost like a country home aesthetic and you kind of lean into almost like, you know, that farmhouse style, keeping the horses, keeping the maps, positioning things, you know, as if they were catered towards a farmhouse.
Frontier.
Keep frontier. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. That frontier aesthetic. I think that you could make those fit a little bit better. And almost like a bringing the frontier, you know, take the frontier with you wherever you go. You know, something along those lines. That might be a question for Chat GPT, but something about like having the frontier wherever you are. Even if you live in the city, you know, you can have the aesthetics of the frontier. You know what I mean? I wish I had like a more articulate example for you, but that's like the essence that I would try to capture, because those products, they don't feel like maps and horses. They feel like they could go together. You know what I mean? It's not as odd as like baby binkies and adult body part piercing products.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they feel like there's some glue there. It's just, you might have to get a little bit creative with it.
Niche question. I make handmade ceramic pottery. It's
Okay.
hard to find a niche. Mugs, noodle bowls, popcorn bowls, wedding bowls. I feel like it's such a broad group buying my pottery.
No, ceramic pot.
Ceramic potty, like most of them. No, that is one of those things that is a niche in and of itself because it's a product that's in high demand.
With an
because-
aesthetic.
With an aesthetic, exactly.
Handmade.
People can tell the difference between a nice handmade plate versus like a machine pressed crap shoot. Like
Handmade, functional ceramic pottery. That is a niche on its own. Handmade, functional ceramic pottery, because though, you know, your industry is like, you know, mugs are the industry, noodle bowls are the industry, popcorn bowls are the industry, but the niche is the fact that it is handmade, it is crafted. There are natural, you know, blemishes and flaws that come with making something with your hands that, you know, people like Mark and I, we value that. That's what we want. We don't want perfect, you know, made by a factory mugs, plain white. You know, we don't want
people
that.
can get the same Yes Bay POD mugs every day. They know the
Right.
difference between a good handmade thing. That's you are the direct competitor to the crappy POD stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, I sell that POD stuff. So no offense to those who make the POD stuff, but we can all mutually
Can't
agree.
light a candle to real handmade pottery. Sorry.
Exactly. When someone buys, you know, an expensive handmade pottery, you know, mug, for example, they're buying the time and the hours and the
the
love
love.
and the passion that went into making it.
And if you wanted to niche further, you could. It's not entirely necessary, but if you have a particular theme,
Earthen home.
right? Do you paint your pottery? Do you do any like specific art on your pottery? Do you emboss it? Do you do like where you use the molds where you like carve out stuff on them? You carve out designs on them. Like there are different ways you can niche further if you wanted to, but it's not really a necessity. I don't
You
think.
could do it like all like Hobbit home style,
Yeah.
or I follow one amazing pottery shop. She's always sold out. I can't even get any of her pieces, but she does, they're almost like little, she does all of her pottery in like black and dark blue and dark purple. And she does like celestial type with gold paint on them. And she does like those drippy mugs, and they're beautiful, but they're always sold out because, you know, that aesthetic is so popular, you know, the kind of astrological celestial theme. And, you know, she's making the pottery, but she has developed a niche. So like he said, if you want to, you could niche it down further, but what you have described is a niche.
I have a specific art style with many different prints, and many of them are dreamy floral scenes, but
Okay.
I added all of my food art trying to expand my store. If my style and color is cohesive, is it okay to have all of this subject matter?
I think that it would fit as long as, is it all still in that dreamy, you know, those dreamy palettes? Because if somebody, maybe they want, you know, your dreamy scapes for their living room, but maybe they want to continue that color palette into their kitchen. Think about that type of person. Think about your ideal customer. Let's say that it's a girl and she's got her apartment, and she just got her first apartment and she's ready to decorate. If she's shopping for her home and she wants to maintain that aesthetic throughout her home, would your pieces match? If she was decorating from her living room, her bedroom, and then to her kitchen, would those pieces all match her home? If the answer is yes, then you've probably got a solid aesthetic where everything is cohesive enough that it would work.
And I do need to go down here to this one.
Sure.
The tallow soap question.
Sure.
Etsy doesn't allow you to outline the benefits of products because you're making medical claims. So you cannot like outline the benefits of tallow or anything like that. So that became significantly more difficult.
Benefits for the body. I was meaning benefits for like if it's earth friendly, if it's waste reducing, if it's natural.
So you can't make any claims of whether or not it's good for you, but the benefits of using it as opposed to a regular soap for.
I was leaning into the sustainability element, which Etsy.
I wasn't, so ignore my part.
Yeah, Etsy encourages us to advertise sustainability. That's more, I was thinking more on the earthy, like, you know, not using chemicals side, not this will make your wrinkles go away type.
Yeah, you can't make any bold claims like that because 9 times out of 10, they're either not true or there's no scientific basis for that.
You'd have to like submit it does the FDA handle?
I have no idea what
body
the
product?
FDA does anymore.
I don't know anymore.
If anything. I have a general shop but want to split because I have a lot of dog products. Moving the dog stuff to a new shop would ruin the SEO of my best-selling product. Should I split my shop?
It's a hard decision and there's really no right or wrong, but sometimes you have to make big moves in order to make yourself happy and to grow your brand in the long run. Sometimes it's those little choices that seem like they're going to be devastating that end up paying off the most. Have you considered that maybe if it's the dog products that are primarily selling, have you thought maybe you should keep the dog products in the shop and take the other items out? And then move the other items to a different shop if that's what you want to do, or, you know, niche down and just be a dog shop for a while and then expand out later to a secondary shop. I'm a big fan of really laser focusing on one shop first like I always say, double shops doesn't equal double money. It equals double work, double time, double SEO, double marketing, and it can be a pain. So sometimes it's better to, you know, perfect one recipe before you try to create something else. It's like if you're starting a bakery, right? You're starting a bakery and you are going to sell chocolate chip cookies. You are coming up with a perfect chocolate chip cookie recipe. So you've got your bakery, you're making chocolate chip cookies and you have not perfected that recipe yet. Those cookies, they keep messing up. Some of them are too flat, some of them are too sticky, some of them aren't holding together, some of them are burning. You have not perfected chocolate chip cookies. Would it be smart to then go open up another bakery next door where you sell snickerdoodles when you don't even have chocolate chip cookie recipe down yet? No, because you have to have the basis for cookies before you will effectively sell chocolate chip cookies. And until you've mastered chocolate chip cookies, you're probably not going to be successful with snickerdoodle cookies either. Having one shop, starting with chocolate chip cookies, perfecting your recipe, and making sure that those cookies are selling so that you're bringing in money will allow you to take those results and replicate them over at your Snickerdoodle bakery.
Snickeldoodles.
Snickledoodle. Your Snorkel Doodle bakery. And then when you sell your Snorkel Doodles, they will hopefully do just as good because you've already figured out what works and what doesn't. And you've gone through the trial and the error so that you can just replicate those results quickly and effectively. And, you know, that's where we see people who have multiple successful businesses. It's not because they opened a bunch of shops at the same time. It's that they had one business that they perfected and they refined and they figured out what works and they put all of their time and effort into that. And then they were able to take everything that worked and replicate it so that they are bypassing the trial and error period when they go to open up their secondary shop. So, you know, just an idea. But ultimately, when it comes to making a big decision for your brand, sometimes it is hard. Sometimes it's hard to eliminate things from a business. But if it brings you one step closer to where you really want to be in the long run, don't just think about what's going to happen tomorrow. Don't just think about what's going to happen next week. Don't just think about what's going to happen next month. What's going to happen a year from now if you refine this brand? 2 years from now, 5 years from now, are you going to be better off for just ripping that Band-Aid off now and getting your brand closer to where you ultimately want it to go within the next 5 years? Probably. It's probably not a decision that you're going to regret. So, and you know, the worst case scenario is if you've deactivated those listings and you decide like, oh, I've made a terrible mistake, you can always reactivate them. And as long as you haven't completely deleted them out of your shop, they will maintain some of their listing quality, because especially if they've sold in the past. So it's really up to you. But if you're passionate about the dog stuff, I wouldn't start fresh with a new dog shop. I would keep the dog stuff in the shop and take the other items and open the secondary shop after you've already, you know, established a little bit of a brand presence, you know. But that's just me. There's really no right or wrong.
I hand paint various wooden accessories like
Okay.
earrings, keychains, bookmarks, and etc. I think the overarching niche is how colorful everything is. That's the number one comment I get. I mean, hand painted wooden accessories. That's I would say that's a niche.
Earth friendly, less plastic waste, sustainable, you know, biodegradable. You know, there are a lot of different ways that you could position that. You could go, if they are colorful, you know, that's a niche in its own. Who's the target customer? Is it, you know, young girls, hippies? You know, I would try to identify the who, and you know, that can also be incorporated into your brand. But that sounds like a niche to me. That sounds like a great niche.
We're talking about the beer. Somebody said beer and wine needs time. Fun fact, in the early American days, they used extremely low alcohol beers as a way to further sanitize water and to add nutrients to the water that would keep them from getting things like scurvy or whatever when the fruits weren't plentiful during, you know, like throughout the winter. Beer and wine were typically drank just as much as actual water was.
Even the children.
Even the children. Usually less than like 0.5%, but it was a way to make sure that the water was sanitary. And if the world ever collapses, it'll go back to that because it's a necessity for the human body. Anyway,
we watch
a little bit of education.
We watch a lot of historical cooking videos. We watch
watch Townsend's.
Townsend's.
He Alone is good. Tasting History with Max Miller is another fun one if you like the worldwide stuff. They're all great channels.
Yeah, we watch a lot of cooking stuff that we would never actually cook because it's historical cooking. But
here's the thing, a lot of the stuff from Europe for one reason or another was burnt and destroyed on how to survive the world when you have nothing. So the early American pioneers are like the most recent example of that. We have all of the stuff in books
because it wasn't that long ago.
And nobody burned it all. We have a popular Facebook page for cat lovers.
Cool.
An Etsy shop with a broad-based cat designs on various products.
Okay.
Is this too broad, or should we niche down? Sounds like cat lovers is your niche.
Yeah, cats. I mean, as long as it's all cats, that's cat moms, cat dads, cat lovers, cat obsessed, crazy cat lady. I think that cats is a fun. I mean, obviously it's a broad niche, but it's also one of the most searched keywords on Etsy. So, I don't see a problem with it.
Red Bull is Austrian. See, I thought Austria sounds
and I said Europe, so
you're both right.
Austria and Australia
kind of the Australia of Europe, right?
No, not at all.
I'm just being stupid. Could a niche be personalized keepsakes, or should I narrow it down even farther?
It absolutely could be. I think that keepsakes is a very I hate the word keepsakes. That tells
That
keepsakes. I that's one of those terms that I don't care for just because it's like accessories. Keepsake. What does it mean? What is a keepsake? I think that trying to find a more direct definition of keepsake, because I tell you what, when keepsakes, you guys know how many shops Mark and I critique, and when I come across the word keepsakes, it's like a dime a dozen. That term to me means nothing anymore because I see it. What is the keepsake? I dare say that, you know, a lot of the shops that market themselves as selling keepsakes, there's more of a message there, like you know, remembering like life-changing events within the family. Yes, it's a keepsake, like by definition that's a keepsake, but you are, you know, creating a reminder of the birth of a child, or, you know, a wedding or an anniversary. So is it a niche? Yeah, it is, but I do think that without changing your products, you could probably refine it so that you can get your messaging a little more precise and laser focused. It's like this is something I talked to the seniors about when I talked at my high school last Friday. We talked about niching as well, and I told them about flashlight focus versus laser focus. A lot of sellers, they have flashlight focus, where they want that beam of light as big as possible. They want to hit as many things with that light as they possibly can. And though that light is hitting a lot of different things, it's not really focused on any one specific area. And overall, the light is relatively dim on all areas that it's hitting. When in reality, what you really want is to be laser focused, where that laser is only hitting a very small point, but the point that it is hitting is so sharp and bright that there is no confusion as to what it is pointing at. You know exactly what it's pointing at. If I pointed a flashlight on this backdrop, you might not know exactly, you know, which tile or which of these little triangles I'm aiming it at. But if I had a laser pointer in my hand and I pointed it, I technically have one, but it's shaped like a ding dong, so I probably shouldn't use that.
no.
If I pointed a laser at one of these points, you would know exactly which point I'm pointing at, right? Because it is a precise beam of light. Yes, I got Mark a little Willy laser
I don't know
pointer.
what you did, but you completely unfocused our camera and it's
Oh.
not coming back. So
Sorry. There it goes.
there we go.
I thought that giving him a little Willy laser pointer would get him into all kinds of shenanigans. I fully thought that he would take it out with him and shine it on things and make people laugh, but he hasn't done that yet.
Giving somebody a little Willie's never been enough.
It is
can
funny
I-
to watch the cats chase it, though.
It is funny.
They chase the little Willy all around the house.
That is funny. Can I use photos to make a collage from Pinterest for my Etsy banner so I can give a feel for my store? Not if they're not yours.
No. Pinterest photos are not for you to take. You would need to use a stock site like Pexels. You could use Canva. But don't just take it's the same as like going to Google Images and saving photos. They don't belong to you. So that it's the same as someone could go to your Etsy shop and pin photos from your shop. What if you saw your photos from your shop on somebody else's banner? It would be kind of weird, right?
I make backdrop necklaces for brides with colorful natural gemstones. Most are made with clear crystals and pearls, so I thought colorful gemstones would be a niche.
Gemstone weddings. That's a niche. That's awesome because most weddings, you see diamonds and gold, and it's a very specific type of person who wants, different types of gemstones. So absolutely. And I think that would also appeal to, the earthy, who want an earthy wedding, maybe even a pagan wedding, a hippie wedding. There's a lot of different demographics who might want gemstone themed wedding jewelry. So yeah, that's a great niche.
Is the laser shaped like a willy? Yeah, it's just a little plate.
The pointer, yeah, the red.
It's got a rotating thing inside of it that the laser hits, it projects it out like that.
All different shapes and sizes too. It's got, you can pick what size of willy you want.
Shut up. I've decided on a niche, but I have a lot of other random themes on my shop right now. Should I just leave those items in the shop or take them down? I'm a POD shop.
If you're POD, I would just take them down, because you don't. For the other shop we talked about, she had physical stock where she had made something by hand, and she needed to move that inventory to make up cost. For POD, there's nothing stopping you from just taking those items down. If you're refining your brand, get rid of those items that are incongruent with the direction that you want your brand to go. This is kind of one of the things that a lot of sellers struggle with coming into Handmade Alpha Academy, when they start learning about niches and they realize that they want to niche down, but they don't know what to do with those products. If they don't fit the overall direction that you're planning to go, there is no problem in just getting rid of them. And that's one of the reasons that Printify flew me first class to Latvia to speak in Europe about niches. That video is up, by the way, on the Printify channel. Just search Starla Moore Printify and it should come up. I speak with Chris Heckman about niches. But yeah, just remove the items that are incongruent with your brand.
My shop is mostly home and office decor.
Okay.
I have a few good selling items that don't fit under this, however. What would you recommend to sellers like me to find a niche, as it's rather mixed?
Again, it doesn't matter if they're selling. Are you passionate about those items, and are they serving you? We had the same case with Nicole. Are you here? Mabel the Woodle, one of my favorite brand stories ever. When she first joined Handmade Alpha Academy, she sold POD, and her best-selling set of, shirts that she sold were Bunko shirts, like the game Bunko. She'd never played Bunko. She didn't know anything about Bunko. She didn't like Bunko, but her best-selling shirts were Bunko shirts. She didn't want to be known as the Bunko lady, despite the fact that the shirts were selling. What she loved was her dog. She was passionate about her dog, Mabel. So she decided to ditch the Bunko shirts. The Bunko was not working, despite the fact that, they were selling. They weren't working for her brand and where she wanted to go. She got rid of them. She refined her brand. She focused on dogs. And now she's actually starting to move out of POD because she's realizing the thing that's selling the very best are these little vests that she makes and customizes for dogs. But she went through this brand journey where she started out trying to sell to a niche that she didn't even know anything about. And though the products were selling, they weren't making her happy. And now that she's ditched the Bunko stuff that she didn't even care about. Yep, there she is. Now that she's ditched the Bunko stuff that she doesn't even care about, she's able to laser focus on something she does care about, which is dogs. And now she's found a very profitable product within her industry. So really it's about, making those sacrifices to get your brand where you want it to be, thinking, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line. We should always be working to trim. And, it's like if you are growing hedges outside of your house and you eventually want those hedges to be a beautiful shape, lining your front yard, you don't just let them go crazy, right? You don't just let them grow all over the place. You go out, and if you notice a little branch that's starting to, take off, you go and you prune it, you trim it.
Keep it trimmed.
Exactly. You prune. you prune. What
else do you do?
You prune it.
With your Crimbus bush?
You keep it trimmed and wet. You prune your hedges until they are the shape that you want them to be. Sometimes we all incorporate in a product into our shop and we look at it and we think, what the heck was I thinking? And that's okay. We all do that. And it's okay to go in and say, okay, this didn't work, and you prune it. But again, think about the brand that you want to build, not where you are now, even if things are selling. Make sure that you are chasing what you're actually passionate about, because 5 years down the line, it's going to be really hard to keep momentum for a brand that is all over the place that you really don't care about.
What am I going to get for Crimbus? Is it... It's going to be stuck in my head all day. Great. Yes, 2 people that get it. Is it legal? She hates it, by the way.
I don't like Tim.
But somehow likes Tim Robinson.
I love Tim Robinson.
Is it legal to offer a percentage discount off of $50 or more, but keep it all up long term? First of all, not legal experts. This I don't think would be considered a sale. It's a bundle discount, which
Yeah.
I think is legal for you to have at all times.
I actually am doing a video on this on Tuesday, Miranda. It's interesting that you it was about the offering free shipping for, you know, X amount or more. Because Etsy allows you to do the free shipping $35 or more. That tells me that it's like Mark said, it's more of like a bundle, and it's an incentive to spend more or you know, add more to their cart. I don't think that that is considered a sale. What would be a problem is saying, you know, everything is 50% off, and you just run that perpetually. But like he said, not legal experts, but I'm like 99.9% sure that you can do that.
I'm sure that rides enough in the gray area that
Yeah.
you're probably fine.
How you guys doing?
I'm all right.
I think Sugar Bear finally fell asleep up there.
She figured out how to open her cage on the back and was out of it. That's why she was so loud, because she was standing by the door screaming.
Oh. Okay.
I'm in a popular niche, wreath seller. How do you compete with others when they're basically selling for nothing, price including shipping? There's no way of making much of a profit.
Don't try to compete with them on price.
You're
Compete-
probably competing with people that are following loss leader tactics that other YouTubers are pushing on them.
Yeah, don't try to compete in price. When you're in an industry where price is the number one factor, where everyone else competes, be the one who charges more. And I know that that sounds crazy, but charging more increases the perception of quality. We do that in our own shop, where there are tons of people in the bookish niche who officially license with authors, who create merch, you know, for these authors. Many of them don't officially license. They sell, you know, illegally without permission from the authors, but they create, you know, products and sell them for a couple bucks, and they're not making any profits. In our niche, we increase the perception of quality through our product photos. So we don't use mock-ups. We order samples and we photograph our products ourselves. We make sure that our branding really expresses, you know, what our brand is about. Branding helps with the perception of quality. Look at Tiffany & Co., for example. Tiffany & Co. is a fantastic example of a brand that puts, you know, everything into the experience. And you pay for that. You're not just paying for jewelry when you're buying Tiffany & Co. You're paying for the bag. You're paying for the big white ribbon. You're paying for the box. You're paying for the entire experience of shopping and owning a Tiffany & Co. piece. What is it that, you know, is going to set you apart and make people more willing to pay that higher price point? Your photos need to be great. Your branding needs to be professional. If it's not professional, this might be a good opportunity to invest. You know, it's not very expensive to hire out a logo designer. We've got a bunch of them in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. If you don't already have a really professional logo and professional branding, pop into the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. Hire out one of the alphas to create some beautiful branding for you. How are your products packaged? What's the experience like unboxing them? A lot of products, you know, ultimately what you're paying for in most of the price is how it comes packaged. And that sounds crazy because most people think, oh, I just throw the packaging away. But it's about the experience and the impression of opening that package that helps to reinforce a price point. Making sure that the pictures of that packaging are included in your listing photo so that people know that it's not just tossed in a box. It's wrapped nice. You've got some tissue paper around it. Maybe you've got some, I'm sorry, is it my hands?
You're continuously doing it. Yeah.
I can't talk and not move my hands.
over here.
What's wrong with our camera today?
It's focusing on your hands that are out here.
But you know, making sure that you are expressing quality in everything that you do. These are all things that justify higher price points. And when you are charging more than those cheap competitors, what you're ultimately saying is that my products are more valuable than theirs. And yes, there will always be discount shoppers. But it's the same argument as, you know, people saying, "Oh, why would someone buy a t-shirt, you know, on Etsy? Why would they spend, you know, $30 on a t-shirt when they could go to Temu and buy one for $5.99? Have you guys ever bought a t-shirt on Temu or any of these discount fashion stores? They're awful. The quality,
they're terrible.
And
They fall apart in like a day.
and you know that. And everybody, you know, people who buy that stuff, they know that it's crappy and they're not your target customers.
But I could buy 40 cancer-giving t-shirts for $10.
Right. They're made out of awful cancerous materials. But most people know, maybe they buy one shirt and that's what it takes to make them realize, oh, that's why it's so cheap.
Usually, yeah. Or it's like this big.
Right.
It's a tall shirt.
It's not that we don't need to compete with Temu prices.
No.
Because Temu sells junk.
People that shop on Temu are not your customers.
Exactly. And people who shop from these really, really cheap wreath sellers, they're not
not your customers.
Exactly.
Nor are those shops your competition. That's why somebody said people are selling bookmarks for $1 to $3. You don't need to compete with those people. Those people aren't your competition. Those people are people that are probably trying to use those as loss leaders, getting people to buy something for $1 or $2, taking the loss so they can try to get. It's just a crappy marketing tactic that they use to try to pull people instead of actually putting any work into their shop. It's a get rich quick thing that everybody pushes on TikTok and YouTube, and it's no different than any of the other crappy advice anybody's giving.
Right. Instead, create a memorable experience where the packaging is beautiful and you've got, some pretty inserts and, have some little printouts with coupons and, any questions, like here's my email address where you can contact me. There are so many ways that you can package your products for quality and make sure that, people understand that what they are buying is the entire experience of owning one of your pieces, and your branding and your quality of your photos and your packaging and making sure that they see that packaging in your photos. Those are all things that enhance that experience.
Can I mix different types of sci-fi jewelry, like resin jewelry, wire wrapped, clay jewelry? Sci-fi is the theme there, not the jewelry. So that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it all fits the theme that your shop is already, clearly expressing through your branding. I'm starting to lose my voice. I feel it. I think I'm getting sick.
I sell scrunchies and I've been sick all week. I sell scrunchies and headbands. How can I find my niche when I don't have many customers? Your niche is people with hair.
Yeah, niche isn't your niche. Niche isn't customers, and you have to decide who you're going to sell to. You develop your niche before you have customers. You develop your niche and your target customer before anyone's ever bought anything. You can develop your target customers and your niche before you even start an Etsy account. Those are the targets. You have to know what you're aiming for. You develop those. You're not just throwing a dart and hoping it hits something. You develop the target and then you aim for it. So what kind of scrunchies are you making? Are you making scrunchies for like high school girls, like teenage girls? Well, what are teenage girls into? What's trendy with teenage girls? I know that like crushed velvet right now is very, very popular again. What color palettes are popular with young girls? Making sure that you're looking at things like the color of the year, which is mocha mousse. I know that peach colors are very popular this year. Rose pink is very popular this year. Pastel blue is very popular this year. Lavender is very popular this year. The niche is the overall aesthetic that you give to your brand and who you're aiming to sell to. So develop that target customer even before you have real customers who are buying. And by defining your brand, by the way, guys, by defining it and making a decision like I am going to primarily cater my brand to teenage girls, that is not saying that, women in their 60s can't buy your products, nor will it turn them off from buying. They'll buy anyway. You're not alienating an audience by hyper-focusing and defining a target customer who, is a very specific type of person. You're not saying that I'm only selling to these types of people. You're just saying that my brand is specifically meant for this type of person, and it is going to directly call to this type of person. And if anybody else wants to buy, that's fine. Just like, Mark, can you hold up your Starbucks cup? No.
You gotta specify.
Do you think that Starbucks designed this cup for people like Mark and
an underpaid college kid designed this
and the topper? Mark, what's your cup topper that you
unicorn?
A rainbow unicorn. He selected that one, by the way. A rainbow cup with a little unicorn. That was not made for him. That whoever invented.
Who says? I go to raves.
I
bring squishables into buildings with full-grown adults.
Whoever invented that cup did not have you in mind. They had probably a very trendy young woman in mind when they designed that cup, but that did not keep him from saying, I want this little,
That's right, Queen.
I want this colorful cup and I'm going to put a unicorn on it. So again, you're not alienating your audience.
Right.
And would the ideal target customer, probably a young, trendy girl, love that cup? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Cup, they're going to love that cup. But Mark also loves that cup.
But me, who's not afraid of colors as a boy, also likes this cup.
And your little unicorn.
Because I'm not so soft that colors upset me.
I have a Shiba Inu for my cup, but I can't get it. There we go. Now
We just hit 12:30. We had somebody ask, can YouTube Premium be written off as a business expense? If, as a lot of you do, use it for industry info. I can't answer that question. That's up for your tax person, but I doubt it.
I write mine off because I don't watch.
You're a creator, though, and there's
YouTube.
benefits to YouTube Premium as a creator.
I think that you would need to really have a good argument and justification for it. If you only use it for research purposes, possibly, but again, talk to your accountant.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of which, Spotify, I know we had this discussion earlier why you should switch to YouTube Premium over Spotify. Spotify's also been caught using art that other people submit to create AI generated songs to build playlists. That
Of
way,
fake music.
to take their own money. So they're taking their own ad revenue instead of giving it to artists. Don't support Spotify. They're a terrible company. They're awful. They're extremely anti-art. They're extremely pro-AI. Get rid of Spotify.
Yeah.
Pandora is probably just as bad, but nobody uses friggin' Pandora anymore.
Your dad does.
Yeah, whatever.
Because it was.
Use YouTube Music. It also has the year in review. I know everybody's like, but my Spotify Wrapped. YouTube Music has that too.
I
And
think-
mine had like a cool video that it made for me. Like it was actually pretty neat.
Well, guys,
Anyway,
thanks so much for hanging out. I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to go ahead and get our video recorded for next week. I do that every Friday. On Tuesday, the video is going to be talking about the science of free shipping. I actually go into a Harvard study and some psychology behind free shipping, which, this is really what I'm going to be trying to lean into primarily in 2025. I want to diversify a little bit, not just cover, the same old Etsy topics that we cover every single year. Obviously, we're still going to touch on those, but I think that the thing that sets me apart as a creator and the thing that you guys value the most about my content is the thing that no one else teaches, which is the brainy scientific stuff broken down in, what I like to call plain stinking English in a way that everyone can understand. So these are the things that are the most impactful for businesses. They're the things that I don't think that many other creators are knowledgeable enough about to cover, or, they don't really do the research the way that I do. So I'm going to lean into that more. So yeah, we're gonna kick that off this Tuesday with the psychology of free shipping. And I learned a lot doing the research into this, so hopefully it's something that you guys enjoy. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. We appreciate you. We hope that this session helped. If you need, if you need to give some, if you need like feedback, if you need someone to look at your shop and like give you some examples or ideas on how you can refine your brand, or if you might need to split things up, feel free to post in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community. Obviously, don't just post a link to your shop. Make sure that you give context. You are allowed to put shop links in the Handmade Alpha Facebook community, but if you just post a shop link with no information,
it'll get deleted and you might get banned. So
we're just going to assume you're advertising. Make sure that you're very specific about your questions. Hey, I have some questions about niches. Here's my shop. I wanted to know if things look cohesive, if you can figure out what my niche is just by looking at my shop. He's wet?
yes, he's wet. He's wet from top to. I bet he was standing in our bathroom tub or
our back sink.
our basement tub or drainage tub.
Animals, guys. It's
Well, at least I hope it's that.
well,
Anyway, we love you guys.
we
We'll
appreciate
see you guys
you.
next week, and safe travels, I guess. I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Happy trail.